So just for those that are not here, we're just going to chat about the homework. Okay, who would like to go first? I could just pick on people. Pam?
I don't mind. I'll go first.
Go on then.
I found it easier than I thought I would, actually.
Good.
I've probably droned on a bit in the preparation, but I think that's kind of important, certainly for me, to set the scene. Throat chakra, you know me well. Yeah, actually, it's not such a big deal as it used to be, I don't think. I certainly feel a lot freer to speak my truth than I used to, and I care less about, you know, its impact on other people. Well, no, that sounds a bit harsh, but you know, I fear judgment a lot less now than I used to, and hopefully because of that I judge people less. Let's hope. Yeah, it was quite an interesting little exercise to do.
That's good. So that was good. How are you feeling about talking it?
Yeah, as long as people don't mind my funny Scottish accent, I'm fine. I don't mind. I've kind of got used to hearing my own voice because of doing the voice notes for the body talk sessions, so I don't get so, is that really my voice?
Oh, is that how you had to do it to Karen, talk through it?
No, not with Karen, but you know, doing the distance sessions, I send them.
Oh, I see what you mean, yeah.
And then I listen back to myself, and I've stopped getting all silly about that now.
Takes practice, doesn't it? I did a rambling live on my Soul Frequencies page yesterday when I was walking the dogs, which some of you I think saw.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it is odd talking to yourself. And I get all flustered and then I stop. Okay, here comes Louise.
Sorry, I've just had to reboot my internet.
Okay, no problem.
There
she is.
Sorry.
That's all right. We're just talking about the homework.
Oh yeah, the homework. Yeah.
So who wants to go next? Diane, how did you find doing the homework?
Well, not bad actually, but like Pam, I also thought I was maybe spending too much time on the setup, but then again, yes, also I do think that's important. And with regard to the meditation aspect of that I've been given, being the crown, very simple really. Well, how it's going to come across, I don't know. We'll see.
You'll be doing whole meditations at some point.
Oh, but then we'll be old hat.
Exactly. Exactly. I thought I'd be kind and start you off with one chakra.
Thank you.
Some of you can do this standing on your head anyway. How do you feel about speaking it to somebody? All right?
Yeah, no, it's fine.
Okay, good. Let's go to Mandy next.
Yeah, hi. It went okay. I'm not used to doing homework. Actually, I am used to doing homework, but anyway, it took me a while to get going. But it's nice to do homework on something I actually really want to do. So that was good.
That's good.
And yeah, I got the flow eventually. And I'm quite nervous about talking out loud.
That's absolutely fine. We've all been there.
Yeah, it's just such the bizarrest thing. But yes.
It just takes practice. But you'll be in a room with one other person, so it's fine.
Yeah, I know. It shouldn't be scary, but yeah, for some reason I am quite anxious about it. So yeah.
Okay, well, we're going to get that out of the way in a minute. So that's done. Then we can just think about what we're doing today.
Yeah, good idea.
Thanks, Mandy. And Sue?
Okay, well, I started mine this morning. And
such a naughty student. She messaged me 11 o'clock last night. What was the have you got the slides?
Can you give me the slides? Yeah, I haven't got all the things for me. So I was preparing in for today. So luckily you answered me at 11 o'clock last night, because I started it at 5:30 this morning.
Wow.
So yeah, and so the way I approached it really was I listened to a lot of what you said, like the beginning, and in fact, actually, first of all, I went through the Earth Star Chakra. And wrote all that out as you know, like as you were speaking, I wrote it out. So just so that I could get a feel of it all. So I kind of made a bit, you know, like hard work for myself. So I had the beginning, the Earth Star Chakra, you know, sort of intro, etc. And then the finish. So then I had your meditation on one sort of worksheet on my like a spreadsheet, and then next to it I sort of did my own. So I first started by sort of pinching a bit of yours and then maybe just changing. And then I kind of got into the flow of it. And then when it came to the actual heart chakra bit, I kind of, was in the flow, and I didn't have anything to copy because I hadn't written that one out. So yeah, I find it all right. I've got it all there ready, beginning, middle and finish. Ready to go.
Good, that's good. And you'll find when you speak it, it'll come out differently again. Because I write things out and then I'll just get in a flow of something and it just does its own thing anyway.
Yeah. So I've got to make sure that I'm in, you know, like not just reading it, that I'm actually sort of
just like, allow it to come. Look at your words, but just know that it's probably going to sound different to what you wrote on the paper.
Yeah.
And then you'll find it easier ultimately just to write bullet points and just talk yourself through a journey rather than every single word.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I started. When we first started these groups, like 3 years ago, was it now, I think? Come January, maybe?
Must be.
It's a long time. I used to spend hours writing out long meditations and all my notes, and it just got more into a kind of flow. I mean, now I'm actually making it more structured again. I'm making slides and stuff, which I've not done before, which is quite interesting, which would take probably Faye 5 minutes. Takes me 5 hours. But yeah, I'm not a computer whiz, so I'm quite proud of myself for mastering that one. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. So Valerie?
Sorry, I muted myself. So it was easier than what I thought it would be. I have not tested it to see if it is actually 5 minutes, but then I can always do what Pam said and speak like Dory Nemo. But then I realized, because I listened to the video again, and I realized that you need to pause for, you need to slow down, and it's not a full speed conversation. So
you have to almost learn to imagine it in your head. So you're doing it while you're saying it, so you can think about where the pauses might go.
Yeah.
So whether you put breathe in your meditation, like you said, Faye, you might find that that's in a different space, because it will feel more natural for you to watch people and actually pause where you know they need to let something come in, allow the sense to turn up, allow the shift to take place if you're doing healing, so that kind of thing. So it's just practice, and that's why it's easier to just do it with one chakra, so that you can kind of get all that bit, and then it will just feel normal and natural. So it's good. So you're all right about reading it out, aren't you, Valerie?
Yeah. I'll probably close the door and just to make sure that there's no noise around me. But no.
Good. And Faye?
Well, I didn't leave it till the night before. I over-prepared about a week ago, and I wrote it all out, and then I re-edited it, and then I put a bit too much into it. And as I was saying to the people earlier, I was telling people I was writing out breathe now, and it was a little bit like giving birth, so it was a bit unnecessary. But yeah, I'm just going to feel it out today, but I think it's okay. It's fine.
Okay, brilliant. That's good. And Lou?
Well, I've got something. so that's a good thing. I started this last weekend, but then just kind of got to a certain point with it, then picked it back up. Where were we today? Wednesday. I think I was doing it a bit on Monday and a bit yesterday, and then fiddled with it a bit today. I mean, I don't know whether it's 5 minutes.
Doesn't matter. It just needed to not be 10 hours each.
No, and I've kind of freestyled it, so
that's fine.
I'm sorry if it's 2.
Sometimes that's better though, but the more you do your beginning and endings, and you have a few different beginning and endings and a few different journeys in and out, the only bit that you're really creating then is the content in the middle to go on into a different space, to do a different kind of clearing or shift a different emotion or take you off on a magical mystery tour. But you get used to the ins and outs, so that just becomes natural, where you just literally need bullet points or none at all, because you've done it so much that you've kind of set the scene. That's the same with anything. When you're working with clients, you're going to be leading them in and out in a similar sort of way, and then the middle bit you're going to focus on. But when you're working with clients, when you're doing healing, for example, you have done your client intake form, and then you can have the kind of bones of a content of meditation, of the kind of way you're going to take the journey, but add in what their issue is, the emotion they might have turned up with in clinic, or so to just take them on a little short meditation at the beginning, if you want to do that with your healing or not. You don't have to. You can just ground them, link them up to the 6-pointed star, ask them to relax and breathe, and then do your own grounding, having opened up your own chakras maybe before they come in. So there's many different ways of doing this. Sometimes people come for healing for an hour. So when you're working in clinic, that's quite hard going, trying to fill a whole hour with healing, just standing there sort of, moving around with your hands and stuff like that. So it's sometimes nice to start the healing while you're doing a meditation, and then when you come in to close up, you're kind of bringing them back, and that's a little bit of a closing meditation to bring them out of the healing, bring them back into the room, make sure they're present again. So there's kind of lots of different ways of using meditation with healing, with on their own, with teaching a group, whatever really. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's no right or wrong to any of this. It's just practice. I may pop in someone's room randomly if I can work out how to do it. If not, I'll just sit here and twiddle my thumbs for 10 minutes, have a loo break. So I'll set the time for 10 minutes. So let me just work this out again.
We have the option to record what's in the rooms.
Oh,
but you need to set that.
I need to set that up.
I think we might have to call you so that you let us record.
So how do we do that?
Maybe come and see us in the room I'm in, or I think if I wave my hand, you'll be able to go into the room and give us access.
Okay.
Maybe if you want to. Because I think if I try to press record and you don't allow it in the first place, it won't let me do it.
So I could maybe try and give you options to do that then on the bottom panel. Hang on.
Learning curve for everyone.
Absolutely. So I've got video settings. Let's move that out of the way for a minute. Recording. No, it doesn't seem to be anything in there about breakout rooms. We'll have to work that out for next time, I think.
Okay.
But if you want to voice record, actually that might be a good idea. If one of you voice records, and you can share it with each other so you can listen back to your recording. And if you want to send them to me, I'd love to hear them. But I am going to randomly pop in and out of rooms. So if I do pop up, don't be alarmed, just ignore me. I won't say anything because you'll be mid-flow. All right.
So what I was saying, in the breakout rooms, you have the opportunity to record.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it might or might not work.
Fair enough.
So I'm going to leave you where you were. I'm just going to set the option for more than 60 minutes. So I'm setting it for 10 minutes. It's giving me seconds, 15 seconds. Set countdown timer. Oh, hang on.
Countdown when at the end.
Yeah.
I don't know how long you're going to be in there for, though. Oh, this is really annoying now. I thought I had it all sorted. Sorry, ladies. So it says move all participants into breakout rooms automatically. That's so allow participants to return to the session at any time. Breakout rooms close automatically. It says 30 minutes, but I can't change that. Countdown after closing breakdown rooms. Set countdown timer to 10 seconds.
If you just get them to return after any, whenever, and then everyone kind of knows it's sort of 10 minutes, and then it won't kick them out. Does that work?
Okay. So
Yeah, don't have a timer.
Just because if you're finishing or...
Okay,
Yeah.
So just take off. So allow participants to return to the main session at any time is the only one that's ticked.
Yeah, and then you can always come in if we're still, you know, like 11 minutes in and we're still,
Okay.
yeah, you can come and get us.
All right, so once you start then set a timer and I'll just wait for you all to come back and I'll try and pop in. Let's see how this goes, yeah? Okay, off you go.
Whoops.
Right, you the lucky one. So put Diane and Pam, Faye and Mandy, Sue and Valerie. And it's me and you, Lou. Yay, lucky you. Can unmute yourself now. So you're talking to me. Then you get a break for 5 minutes because I'm not going to do one. Then I can go off being nosy. Can you hear me?
Are we in our own little room?
Yeah.
Are we in our own little room?
We're in the main session.
no.
Everybody else has gone off to rooms and you've been assigned to me.
Oh, how lovely. Just you know, putting on the pressure and all that. Now you're going to know how poo it really is.
It'll be totally fine.
God, right, okay. So what, we're just going straight into it?
5 minutes. So we are on the main recording, just so that you know.
Oh, God. That's my voice. Because I was thinking, oh, right, well, maybe my voice won't be recorded.
This is the universe doing this to you.
Huh?
It's the universe doing it to you.
No, it is, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Right, okay.
I can pause it if you want me to.
What, pause it?
Do you want me to pause the recording?
What, and not
talking to me?
What, to do the meditation, you mean?
Yeah.
You want it recorded?
Doesn't matter. It's just this is going to Claire and Kate as well, who's not here.
Just talk about fun.
If you feel on the spot, I can just pause the recording and we can come back and record it once we've done.
What do you mean record it once we've done?
I'll carry on recording after you've done your meditation. My main meeting, because Claire and Kate will need the recording from the whole 2-hour session.
Did you want this bit recorded? It's just it might sound shit.
It's not going to sound shit, but it doesn't matter if it's not recorded because they've done their own meditations anyway.
Oh, right, okay. Well, do you mind if we don't?
No, let's pause it. Right, resume recording. So sorry guys for turning the recording off. We've just done our meditation practice. That's for Kate and Claire to hear. Okay, so all good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really good.
Easier than you thought? Things that you noticed? I mean, I know I've spoken to a few of you.
I timed as I said to you, I timed myself on the voice, on the recording, and but when I came to do it with Diane, I galloped through it. You know, I was a full minute shorter than I previously practiced. So I was a bit self-conscious about the pausing, if I'm honest. I didn't want to make it too long.
Diane is stuck.
Stuck in the breakout room.
Diane's stuck. She needs to leave the room.
Oh.
I thought there was, because there was only 7.
Poor Diane, I didn't even notice. Diane, are you stuck?
Yeah,
I think you need to leave the room. There's a way of you leaving.
I don't know how. Can't find it. I've been looking.
You on a tablet? I'll close all the rooms. Here you go.
Yeah. Oh,
She's coming.
yay!
Welcome back.
Sounds like off on your way out, Diane.
I thought I'd been naughty or something and stuck in a room on my own.
We all just wanted to talk about you for a minute.
Oh, well, what can I say?
Oh, funny. So, sorry, what were we saying? Yeah, Pam, you were galloping through it. So just learn to pause. Yeah, and sometimes when people pause for too long, you can start to see people opening one eye and looking around thinking, are you still there? Has the Zoom died? Has the computer died?
Judging, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good. Any other feedback? Stuff to work on?
Faye did very well.
Brilliant.
Oh,
Very, very. I felt she did such a good job at being very professional. There's a lovely flow, and I felt looked after, cared for.
Oh, that's
thank
really
you.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah,
what all that preparation in advance does.
It all went out the window. I knew it would. It didn't. Not once did I look at it. It was straight out the window.
No, that's really good. It was brilliant.
It's better to prepare and then not need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mandy was wonderful. She had like a really lovely cadence to her voice. Like the minute she was like, close your eyes, I was just like, you could just block everything out straight away. And she had a really good flow, and she structured it really well, and it was really concise but paused in the right places. And yeah, the energy was really nice.
See? All that worry.
Thank you. Yeah. Silly me.
Brilliant. And Sue?
Oh, sorry. Well, I mean, Valerie did mine, and I loved the fact that I was able, because it was the third eye chakra, and I really was able to kind of visualize. I had to visualize an emerald crystal, and bring that color throughout my body, and that, and that was really good. And she brought me through all the senses, which I forgot to do that myself on my one.
All right, you don't need to use them always.
Pardon?
You don't need to use them always. Just doing whatever.
Okay. At the beginning, I don't think I flowed very much. Maybe Valerie can, sort of like give me some pointers, which I'd value. But yeah, I sort of got into it a bit more, and sort of in the middle bit, and gave her some time to wait for a gift from Archangel Samuel. So yeah, I think it fairly good.
Good, well done.
It was really good. I mean, in the beginning, Sue was talking a little bit, faster than what she would normally do, but the meditation was lovely, and the whole setup of grounding myself to the earth star chakra and getting the Rahani healing coming over and joining was really, really nice. And I did get a gift.
Yay! What did you get?
The gift was so it was in a wooden box, and it was like an orb of light, but it looked like the moon, so as if someone had taken the moon and put it in a box.
Wow, nice, wonderful.
So it was really nice.
Well done. And I know I've spoken to Pam and Diane, but you can share with the group what your insights were. So Diane, because
Okay. Well, for me, I realised that as I was going through it, that I was talking too quickly, and I speeded up more as I went. As I got further into conducting the meditation. Pam did a lovely meditation, I must say. It was very, very nice. And also towards the end, Pam got a little bit fast as well, but she can talk about that herself. But it was lovely. Sorry we couldn't record it.
yeah, you have to do it separately. Pam?
Yeah, I was fully aware that I didn't pause enough. Diane's meditation was great. I actually got a gift. I was given a bowl with acorns that had already started to sprout into little mini oak trees and some seeds, which was lovely. And yeah, I felt really, really relaxed. It was a very nice experience.
Good. See, all easy peasy. So just to give Louise some feedback in the room. So yeah,
you didn't get a gift.
that's all right though, because what we did is we went off and did some earth healing. We did. So Louise was obviously put on the spot because she was left in a room with me. Lucky you. But it was lovely, and I know that Louise said to me while we were in there afterwards that she ended up freestyling some of it, and it flowed better when she was kind of going with what felt right. And she got me to take my energy out of my heart chakra and send it down into the earth, right into the middle, and then send it out to heal the earth. And it went through like hundreds of ley lines. It was like a giant glowing ball of light. It was lovely. It was like lightning going in there and kind of, so that felt really lovely to do that. I was really connected to the energy. Connected.
Did I go too fast?
No, actually. And you speak naturally, you speak quite quickly sometimes as a just general chit chat. Well, you know, not fast, but you know what I mean. And you were the right tempo.
Oh, good. That's
So
good.
that was good. Because what you, like you said, you were imagining it in your head. And that worked because you were with me. And that's when you're doing meditation for other people, you're on the journey with them, really. So the more you use your senses, the more you can just sort of do it while you're talking. So that was really good. I loved it, Louise.
Oh, thank you.
That's all right.
I was talking with my hands. I mean, Sue could not see it because she had her eyes closed, but you know, I was like, you know, feel, and I was like, feel. I was like, see. Anyway.
Yeah, some people talk with their arms, don't they? My dad does that. I don't think I do. I think I just sit still, fidget, itch, scratch my head.
I think that increases the energy, you know, sort of like, so if you're like thinking, you know, to go up and you do that, that's sort of like, you know, increases the
it's true. It's bringing it to life, isn't it?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I
Well
closed
done,
my eyes.
Pardon?
I was just saying I closed my eyes to try and feel what she was feeling.
That's a good thing to do as well. And actually sometimes that takes away all the kind of distraction and you can just bring it through. And the more you know your stuff, the more, you know, you can just channel it because you know your stuff. And actually what I would encourage you all to do now is to learn the colours of the 5th dimensional chakras. That's me included, to learn them off by heart, because bringing those colours through would be really powerful. And actually, you know, you can use the colours of the 7 chakras. They're still valid and we're still clearing stuff from those. So I'm not saying don't ever use them, but I think get used to practicing with the newer colours as well. And just expand that into, you know, an energy that kind of all flows together. Quite nice to do that. But like I said last week, it's not to kind of do them all at once all the time, because, you know, working on one of them would be good to do it in your own practice, because it's kind of opening you up to other experiences, and sometimes it's nice to hang out in one more than the other. So you can, like if you do a meditation for yourself, ground yourself into the Earth Star Chakra and kind of talk yourself through a little meditation in your head or out loud, and then choose a chakra to expand on for the day. Does that make sense? So that's kind of something that's really nice for daily practice. When I get into bed at night and I'm quite unsettled, I go through my chakras and I kind of put myself to bed, and I imagine the chakras kind of pulling in a little bit and settling down, and then I imagine sort of getting them all connected, and then usually I get halfway through and I'm fast asleep. So that's one of the ways I kind of go to bed sometimes, and that's quite a nice thing, because you can, when you're still and you're really tired, you can feel the sensations a bit more because you're in a slightly altered state of consciousness. And this is what Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches a lot, is to get through the different mind states so that you're in the mind state of, is it theta? So when you're doing an exercise or something, you're more, it's not susceptible, what's the right word? You're more in the realms of absorbing and taking something in without all your thinking mind going on. So if you're visualizing something, you're there in it. It's a bit more real, and it's a bit more like your body is actually going to take that on than all the kind of chatter that goes on if we go straight into trying to do it once we've been chatting in our head too much. Does that make sense? Okay, right, so I'm going to share the screen to my number 2 slides extraordinaire. Okay, let's see whether this works. Right, can you all see that all right?
Yeah.
I'm going to leave you off mute because I want you to be able to ask questions if you want to. I've lost my mouse, I can't see all of you. Okay, so if anyone needs to ask me anything, you can just interrupt because I can only see 4 people at the minute. If there's lots of feedback, then obviously I'll ask you all to put yourselves on mute. So today we're just going to do, I'll go through the slides. We're expanding on what we've done. I'm bringing some different tools in and getting you to think more about who you are, how to clear your energy, and a kind of us in the bigger picture of what we're trying to achieve with looking at ourselves, and how we help our clients moving forward into a more 5th dimensional space. So living in a more kind of harmonious space and having some tools to do that with. Often you've got to do a lot of your own clearing to do that. So who are we? Like I've put at the bottom there, we're not our labels. I'm a mother, I am a mother, I am a wife, I am a sister, I am a daughter. We've got all those labels, but who you are is who you are inside. So it would be things like, it would be the feeling things is who you are, kind, caring, you know, those kind of words. So describing yourself and thinking about yourself in the kind of kinder aspects is always going to be more healing if you describe yourself. And to stop the self-talk. So when we talk about ourselves to others and we put ourselves down, our brain, the habit brain, is just taking that in, and we do self-talk and put ourselves down in our head as well, and we all need to learn to stop doing that. So it's not just about external chit-chat, it's the internal chit-chat that is the bigger problem. Those are the limiting beliefs that stop us doing things. And remembering that we're 95% unconscious, so our subconscious brain is running the show unless we access our conscious brain more. So we have to remember that we are just a great big bag of habits, belief systems, triggers, born out of what, you know, your life experiences are. Most of the beliefs are in there before you're 7 years old. We're energy systems vibrating at a frequency. Each part of your body, each organ, each endocrine has its own frequency. Each emotion has a frequency. So the lighter emotions like love and peace and gratitude and ones like that and laughter have a much higher vibration. So sometimes if you're feeling in a bit of a funk one day, just even putting some comedy on or something just to laugh at, just to raise it a little bit, just to pull yourself out of that kind of hole of feeling a bit, you know, down in the dumps. The lower vibrational emotions are very valid because they are showing us, one, how to keep safe, two, how to process grief and sadness out of our bodies. They're also important. Fear overdoes it a lot because we're not running away from saber-toothed tigers anymore, but we still respond like that. We're all just too busy. And I think we can all agree that in the first lockdown, although it was distressing what was going on in the world, it was quite nice to pause and stop and realise just how much we were trying to cram in to our day. And it was a bit crazy. Then coming back out in the world was a bit like, gosh, it's exhausting. I've only been back outside for 2 days. Do I want to do this? So it's constantly remembering to reevaluate that if your body is tired, you've got aches and pains, you've not paid attention to your body, then you've got to look at, you know, noticing when your body's trying to tell you something. When it's waving a flag, you've got to notice, right? We are the alchemists, the creators of our own creation. Actually, Mandy and I belong to another group where I go along to listen with Wendy Lee, and she talks about the creation, and I talk about it in a slightly different way to Wendy, but it's interesting. And it is that we are all creating in every single moment. Everything we're doing, being creative is not just doing art and designing and making and doing and baking and gardening and stuff. That's not it. Those are the fun, joyful things that help you process stuff to do it. When you switch off and you really tune into something, it's a good way to kind of download and relax. But you've got to remember, we are creating every aspect of our lives in every single moment. Most of it we're unconscious, and subconscious mind is just running the show. So it's just, again, paying attention occasionally to the monkey mind and what it's chattering about. That's the whole point of mindfulness and being present, is to just keep bringing yourself back to the present moment, whatever you're doing, whether it's making a cup of tea, walking down the stairs, watching something. Be in it with your senses, and your mind will wander again. Bring it back. Just do that over and over. It gets easier. Your brain can create new neural pathways quite easily. You create bad habits really easily, but you don't notice. You can create good habits just as easily, but you have to go through well, this is a bit boring, but I'll do it anyway. Because even if you interrupt a story for 2 seconds, it stops it turning into a great big feeling. So it's just not to allow it. It's good to have emotions and to validate them, but it's not good to hang out in those kind of repetitive thoughts that are uncomfortable over and over. Okay, does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So states of mind, belief systems, triggers come from our beliefs. We conduct and channel energy and light, and we're not our labels. So you can't create anything. I can't actually see. Can someone read that to me, because you're all in the way? You can't create anything from the unknown, yes? From
Anything
the known.
new from the known.
Right. I couldn't remember how the words went. My boxes are now in the way of my writing. So if you keep doing the same things over and over, you're not going to make anything any different. So it's useful just some days, and I again teach this to my clients, to get out of bed on the different side, to sit in a different chair with a different view and eat something different for breakfast out of a different bowl. Go to work, drive a different way to work, go and notice something else that's going on. Stop being in that autopilot, because when you're in autopilot, it's good because it gets everything done quicker, but that's when your thinking mind just kind of takes over. And if it's not happy, cheery, creating loveliness thoughts, then sometimes we end up down a bit of a rabbit hole. And then those feelings, when they're heavy, is what ends up causing physical issues in our body, because they're bringing those low vibrational emotions to your body over and over and over and over again. And that's the connection between the mind and the body, the psychological aspects that end up with making us ill are often just those repetitive thoughts that your brain is, the habit brain that can't discern what's real or not, is just going, oh, that's one of my thoughts, that's one of mine, that's one of mine. It's just picking it up from your mind. Oh, that feels like that in my body, stuff that there, stuff it there. It's all going on unnoticed again and again and again. So sometimes just changing something really simple and doing your day the wrong way round, just change it, do something different. Someone suggests something you've never done before, say yes. Just go and do something random, anything. Don't keep going to your favourite place. Go put a pin in a map and go and visit somewhere different. It's just to keep creating some different experiences for yourself, so that we don't get into that, you know, rabbit hole of looking at our phone, going to the same spaces, sitting on the same chair. I mean, obviously have your comforting things, because that's important, isn't it, to have your home comforts. Right, can somebody read that out to me?
As we embrace the emotion ahead of the environment, we're signaling the gene ahead of the environment. I don't understand that.
So that is, if you're in a meditation, for example, and you're putting your thoughts into what you do want, and you're putting your feeling into it and your energy into it, then that's more likely what you're going to manifest. But it's not enough to just go there with your thoughts alone. You've got to feel what that's like to be in that thing that you want. You've got to go there fully embodied into that process. And what happens with that is that you'll come up with a lot of your limiting beliefs around why you can't do that. But this, but can't do that, and what if that happens, and oh, but there's this person and I might upset that person. You got to keep adjusting yourself to what you want to manifest, and you've got to go in it with the feeling of what would that feel like to have that. If there's any limiting beliefs on the way, find where that is in your body and sit with it, validate it, breathe, allow it to pass, allow that emotion to be there until you've unraveled what that limiting belief is. You can just keep digging back. Where does that show up in my life? If you've got a fear coming up, where does that show up? I mean, we've, you know, a lot of you in here have done this with me again and again, and some of you haven't. It is just to find where that feeling that's stopping you is in your body as well as in your mind. You have to take your mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, and unravel the layers of where that's stuck. Sometimes it could be past life stuff that's sat in the way, and often that's then going to need a therapist to help you sort that out. All right. Okay, so the 4 bodies. So there are more than 4 bodies, but these are the main ones, because we do have the energy bodies and ethereal bodies and all sorts of other aspects to us. And then really ultimately, if you break it down, we are all just hundreds of billions of cells floating around in space, and there's no body at all. So all the emotions that I said earlier, they get stuck in the body. That's often what causes ill health or trauma or habit from your family. We are less our genetic inheritance from our family than we've been led to believe. That's a lot lower, and we are creating our own environment by the belief systems that we have from our family baggage. You can put an adopted child into a family from an early age, and they will still pick up all the family illnesses and the family baggage, because they are in the mindset of the family that they're hanging out with, and the limiting beliefs, and the creating good beliefs as well, of course. So, you know, it's looking at that. So I just want some of you to kind of call out what a limiting belief might be, and what part of the body that might belong to. So some of the body talkers might want to start this one, because you've practiced in this.
For me, it's probably self-doubt, and it sits above my gut, I suppose, solar plexus, really.
Okay, so what does the solar plexus symbolize?
Personal power.
Yeah. So the flip side of personal power is doubt, isn't it?
Yeah.
And what does that feel like in that part of the body?
It's a tightening of that area.
Yeah. So it's just to visit those things and think, right, okay, why am I self-doubting? Is it because fear of judgment, for example? And when did that start? So it's the unraveling of that for you. And I think, Pam, you'd find it easy to kind of unravel that. And I think you've unraveled quite a lot of that, to be honest.
I have actually, yeah. But if there is something overriding it, that's usually it.
Yeah, and this is where this is a journey. The habits take over, don't they?
Mm.
Anyone else?
The limiting belief on I'm not worthy, I've come across that a lot with people and families as well, because they just think they're never going to be able to earn, you know, like, or be other people. They just sort of just are almost like limit themselves by just thinking, oh well, I'll never be able to have a job.
So let's think about unworthiness in a woman. Where do you think that might sit in a woman? Anyone, you can answer this, Sue, or anybody can answer this. What part of the body might that limit?
Sacral area.
Yeah. Anywhere else?
Solar plexus.
I was thinking the heart.
Yeah, it can be. It can be lots of places. It can be the ovaries. That's about self-worth, especially for a woman. So you can kind of work out sometimes if you've got an emotion or if you've got a pain in your body, and this is the meditation we're going to do at the end, is to work out, right, what does that part, so if I've got a pain in my right boob, let's go to there, and trying to work out, right, what do they do? What are they for? So if you're breastfeeding, they're for nurturing, you know, they're feeding, they're givers. So whether you've had children or not, it doesn't really matter. They're there in a kind of nurturing sense. Anyone else got any words for there?
Self nurture, I guess, as much as nurturing others.
Yeah.
Self nourishment.
So it would be looking at, if I've got a pain there, what do I need to look at? If it's a pain, what kind of pain? And if it was irritation, itching, something like that, would it be that, you know, I'm irritated at myself for not looking after myself better? Or am I projecting that out and blaming that on someone else? Because that obviously happens a lot with people too. We blame out rather than looking in. Sometimes we can have boobs that are too big and we feel burdened or cumbersome or exposed or leered at. You know, there's all sorts of connotations that can go with breasts for women. Or if they're small, you know, oh, there's not enough there and I don't feel feminine, and it goes on and on. It's a lot of lack of self-love then, isn't it? With that.
Yeah, because it's very much part of a body image, isn't it, when it comes to something which is overtly feminine.
Yes. So if you've got a problem with one or the other, you've got to look at the psychological, emotional aspect that goes with that. So to clear it from not happening again, you've got to look at how that's come into your thoughts and the unconscious aspect of that that's brought that to your part of your body. So getting beyond that can be therapy, healing, mindfulness, meditation, and many more things, chatting to people, sitting in, you know, self-contemplation, being creative and actually making something and allowing yourself a space to be in, to shut your monkey mind off, is a good one that we don't do enough. Being in nature. Going into meditations like Joe Dispenza, where you take yourself so far into your brain states that you are nothing, no thing, no one, nobody. It takes you, you know, right out into knowing that you're just space. And in that aspect, the words "I am healed" would be quite powerful, because there's no baggage and judgment in there telling you you're not. You could just feel totally free and light, and I'm healed. So I am, which I think you all know this, is ownership of something. So you have to be careful about owning my bad back. I am tired. I am arthritic. It's to change the words to stop reinforcing it for your habit brain. So if I was arthritic, just I've got some arthritis in my body at the moment, I kind of make it temporary, because we all know that cells can regenerate slower in your bones, but it's possible. We know now that things can change just like that. If you get all the, you know, levels lined up properly, it can just switch. So we are channeling and creating in every moment. So how do we learn to align to our purpose over our habits? Anyone want to answer that?
Just being more mindful, I guess.
And how does it feel to be in your purpose? What would you think that would feel like?
Oh, it's very empowering. Uplifting.
What would the energy be like?
I had a feeling like that today, and it was all around my sort of heart area. Very sort of energetic feeling around the heart. That I felt I was following my heart, I guess. You know, I was doing something
powerful.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Just when it comes really naturally to you. You know, when you just, everything just feels like it's aligned and everything's just
in a flow.
Yeah, you don't have to think or fight, or you just are, and it works, and it's really nice.
Yeah, and more of that. And then when we realise we're in habits and the things that we do have to do, we was just like, oh, this is all a bit tiring. This is really hard work. And then we go back into our self-limiting behaviour and allow our habits to kind of run the show. Now, obviously, we are going to get tired. I mean, I spend a lot of my day doing things that I love now. I am still tired because there are still things I need to kind of overcome emotionally to adjust to that. But that's less so when I'm actually engrossed in something that I'm really enjoying. When I'm doing the boring, mundane jobs like the housework and stuff, I try and listen to a podcast or put some music on, have a little dance around while I'm doing the housework to make it more interesting, so you can even jazz up the boring stuff. So I remember a friend of mine saying that to me years ago, well, why don't you just put some music on and dance while you're doing the housework? And I'm like, oh, it's a really good idea, I didn't think of that. Not that anyone else here really likes it. Like, I mean, turn your music down, but that's okay, that's fine. Getting in touch with nature. See, when we're in our zone, we are channeling more creative energy, but we are channeling the mundane habit stuff too. So when you get out into nature, you're more in touch with other things that naturally just create in habits that have a purpose to it. Animals are just in their purpose, doing their thing. The trees are doing their thing. They're all supporting and nurturing each other. And the only time that they're not doing that is when people get in the way most often, or you know, a virus will come or a bacteria will come and wipe out a load of trees. Maybe natural selection that space needed to be cleared, but they kind of know what they're doing more than people, definitely. So it's kind of even just sitting in your garden, even if it's in winter, getting outside in the winter, and just notice what's going on. If there's any birds around still, what are they up to? You know, thinking about how, like, if you go and touch the trees now, you can really feel their energy now. If you're able to feel the energy of a tree, that they're actually drawing their energy in now, and all the energy is coming out of the branches, and it's actually, you can feel it all channeling back into the trunk and going into conserving for the winter in their roots. They're keeping all the nourishment, and they go, you know, into hibernation. So that's quite clever, really, but that's quite different to feel the trees at a different time of year. They will feel differently. So yeah, it's quite interesting to go out and learn more about the behaviour that they have and how they support and nurture each other, and how we can learn from that as people. So get in touch with the Earth's heartbeat, the Schumann Resonance. I'll talk about that a bit more in a minute. Developing our senses, we've all talked about that. So touch, taste, sight, sound and smell, and go through all of, you know, those things. Doing things on purpose, so deliberately doing something a different way around, choosing something else, doing something that you love just because, for no reason. Like I would before, you know, a few years ago, I haven't got time to paint. Now it's just like, well, I'm going to make time to paint because actually that's more important than cleaning the toilet, for example. That can wait. So it's changing your priorities. Look at your blocks. Are you inspired and motivated, or feeling pressured or duty bound to something? Going into your soul purpose, it feels passionate. It's not going to feel like duty. So you can always check in with yourself if does this feel right to me or not. Just, you can do that over and over. Does it feel right? Does it feel right? If it doesn't, then change how you're doing it. If there's some things that you have to do in life that are just duty, try and make them fun to do it. Try and change it a little bit. And then into the concept of 3D to 5D. So looking at, we're in transition of a masculine consciousness patriarchy that's actually falling apart. We're at the end of the era of Pisces and we're coming into the age of Aquarius. We're much more into the etheric, pioneering, creating energy of Jupiter. Yeah, bringing all the stuff that we're doing now is normal, really normal, and, you know, going more into the healing tools and therapies and stuff of consciousness. You know, we're going way beyond what we've done in the last 2,000 years. So since the fall of Atlantis, when they were kind of misusing it a bit, and we had the Great Convergence in 1987, and we were allowed to have the violet flame back. And since then, we've all been waking up, literally, becoming more conscious. It was slow to start with, and now it's at the speed of light because of what's going on in the world. Everybody's just like, okay, so this is, it's the spiritual awakening is not just the fluffy stuff. This is all the nitty-gritty stuff that needs to fall apart. It's a bit like when you pull the Tower card in a pack of tarot and you think, oh no, everything's falling apart. Good. Because when everything's falling apart and it's chaos, you're going to force change. If you look at nature and the cycle of life, it falls apart, dies off, and then recreates and births a new cycle. And that's what happens, you know, in life. In order for something to end, sometimes it needs to monumentally fall apart. People are not going to start suddenly living in a different way, no, unless you force them to. True?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we're all on that page there, aren't we, with that? Can we change things by blaming or shaming people?
Nope.
So even if somebody else is to blame or wrong for something?
Doesn't do any good, does it?
Doesn't make any difference, does it really?
Mm-hmm.
I think you can set boundaries and say that's not okay.
Sure.
But ultimately, if you're triggered, that belongs to who?
Yourself.
You.
Yeah.
The only thing
and
you
how
can
you
do
react.
Your reaction. Yeah. And that's difficult when you want to punch somebody and you're really cross. It's just suddenly go, okay, then I'm just going to readjust quickly. Feel the emotion you're in, your trigger first. Find it in your body, honour and validate it. You don't want to suppress it. It's okay to have that emotion, but don't hang out in it. And there's no point in blaming somebody else for something. I've had a few occasions where, and it's all been women actually, and it's kind of brought me back into being 14, 15, where I got bullied for a little while, of feeling kind of, I don't know, violated by somebody spewing their stuff at me, and then me taking it personally. And it wasn't personal, I knew that, and I knew, like, my bigger self knew that, but there was still the, you know, what do I know-ness and the unworthiness that kind of took that in for a bit and thought, oh crikey. And on one of the occasions, it was during a body talk session, and she was really triggered by something I said, but it was in relation to something else that had happened to her in the day. So it wasn't about me, it wasn't personal, but I had to really rally and to carry on that session and school my face, which I'm not very good at, to actually carry on. But I managed it, and it was fine. But that felt really personal, so then I've had to work on that. So it is looking at, I could say, oh no, she was horrible spewing that at me. It didn't feel very nice, and actually I could have had a boundary there. In real life, I probably would have had a bigger boundary than trying to be professional in a session. But ultimately, that triggers mine. Pam?
Would it have been appropriate for you to have said to her, actually, what you said made me feel X, Y, Z? Or is that that's your
It's a bit difficult in a session. What I did say was, I can see you're triggered, and I'm sorry you've heard it like that. That wasn't my intention, but I'll stop talking about that and I'll carry on. And it glitched the computer, and I didn't hear what she said, so I paused and said, what did you say? And she went, what do you mean you're going to stop? And I was like, oh, at this point I wanted to just go, do you know what, we're done. Turn off the computer and I'm going to have a cup of tea and go away. That's what I really wanted to do. And I was like, no, I just said I'll stop talking about it and I'll carry on. And in my head, I'm saying all sorts of stuff. And I've had to get myself back in the zone of doing the treatment. And then, of course, Body Talk was bringing out unresolved this and, you know, reckless behaviour. And we went into planets and pathological consciousness of this, that and the other. It was just pulling all the difficult things out of the bag for me to then have to try and explain what was coming up in a session because it needed clearing. But it was perfect really, because when you're doing Body Talk or any kind of therapy, you're also having a treatment. You're also going to be part of the mirror of that, because that's how life works. We're mirroring each other all the time in order to clear our stuff. Nobody's on a pedestal of being better than. We can be good at a therapy, but that person's good at something else, so we're still balancing something in each other. So that is tricky, Pam, to do that. And at the end, she apologised.
Oh, good.
And I said, that's okay. I said, I realised how that came about. And I said, I've got broad shoulders and I was a bit triggered, but it's fine. I could see the kind of bigger picture, and it was fine because we left it then. It was just a quick chit chat at the end. But that's the sort of thing when you're working with other people, that's potential, because people are going to be triggered. And sometimes even if they're being triggered and they're talking about someone else that's triggering them, if you've got an issue with anger in your life, even someone telling you about someone else that they're angry about can feel a bit like, oh, I'm really uncomfortable with that person being angry. I know it's not like me, but I don't like it. Let's try and change it. You're going to let them work that through. And these are all the kind of tools and tricks and things that you kind of build up. And in the moment, those of us here that have been therapists for longer, you just rally. You find a way, you assert a boundary in a professional way, not how you would in real life. So yeah, if I'd done it in real life, I would have brought up all my own triggers and shamed and blamed and done all sorts of judgment, and I waited to do that afterwards. Because we're human, right? But there's nothing actually really wrong in what she did. I was just triggered. So who's in control, really? Ultimately, who's in control? Huh?
You are.
Are we?
We are.
Are we?
Well, you're in control of your reaction.
You can choose.
Yeah.
There's no control ultimately. Life just happens at you, or it happens because your unconscious behaviour is bringing it to you. You're not in control of your subconscious mind unless we're bringing it into the 5% consciousness. So who's in control? No one, everyone, nothing, everyone, everybody. It's just life doing life. It's just the habits rolling round. So I could be in control of getting in my car to come home from work, but really I'm choosing that because I might get in my car and my car might not want to start. So I'm actually not really in control of that.
So I suppose the programs are in control.
Yeah.
Programs within you.
Yeah. Yeah. The belief systems, they're in charge. We need to just keep digging them out. So, that's lots of words, isn't it? Tuning in, there's many ways of tuning in. How are we doing for time? Where we want to channel, what to focus on, what's coming up, our attention, intention, and what we have with a purpose for that information. So our connection to our senses. I'm just going to exit out of the big screen, that's better. I don't know if you're seeing all my other bits and pieces. So our connection to our senses, our touch. So sense of touch is the feeling or knowing or the actual sensation or temperature. So touch is many things. Taste, sight, sound, smell, and each of our senses has a saying. Can anyone think of any?
Smell a rat.
Yeah. More? There's loads.
Sight for sore eyes.
Yeah.
Touch the stars.
Pardon?
Touch the stars.
Yeah. Knowing something off by heart. Something doesn't smell right, taste right, feel right. So we've got baggage in our senses. And a lot of that baggage is also in there before we're 7 years old. Before the age of 7, you are mostly more in your kind of hypnosis state of mind where you're just absorbing what's going on in your senses in the world. You don't know what's right or wrong, even if there's something horrible happening in your life. You don't know that that's not what everyone else is going through because you don't have the capacity to check around you for what's going on. But what you do know instinctively is that in your senses something might not have felt very nice, or something might have sounded really terrible and frightened you as a baby, or you might have been burnt by milk and then the smell of milk and the taste of milk makes you sick. That can happen. So you've built baggage up on your senses, and what happens is the reason why we haven't got all our clair senses open is because we've got blocks and baggage from shutting them down. We're born with all of those. Sometimes your soul's journey has got baggage from past lives as well that they may have brought in too. So, you know, there's many ways of looking at that. Do you want to call out the clair senses? So clairaudient is one, that's hearing.
Clairvoyance.
Clair what?
Sentience.
Yeah.
Clairvoyant.
Yeah.
Audient.
Yeah. Cognizance.
What's that?
Claircognizance is the feeling, is a feeling sense.
Oh, okay.
Is it knowing?
Yeah. That knowing, that feeling something's right or not. Yeah. The knowingness. That's what I meant. Thank you, Lou. There's clairgustience. That's taste.
Not wind.
Could be. It's coming out your mouth. I can't think what the smell one's called. Is it salience? Clairsalience. Anyway, you can look those up. There's loads of clair senses. That just means that you've got physical senses that taste, touch, sight, sound, and smell, and you've also got subtle senses and all your senses. So when you're channeling energy, or when you're focusing your attention or intention on yourself or on your clients, you can go through any of your senses. You can develop any of these. You'll have dominant senses and you'll have senses that are asleep. sometimes when you're working on those, it can bring up emotional baggage that you didn't know you had. That's the body talk and kinesiology and therapies like that are really good for digging up those things that have been kind of sat in there. Many of, you know, and the more conscious we all become, the more psychic, if you like, the more tuned into energy, the more we can all see, feel, sense where people are blocked and know where we're blocked and work it out a lot easier. And we are finding now, so many people now are kind of waking up, if you like, to use the term that's been overused, that people are thinking, you know, the world's got much more in it than we thought, and there's all this stuff going on over here that's falling apart. What's that all about? And then they start dabbling in spiritual stuff without knowing what they're doing, and they get into a terrible mess. That's happening a lot. And then you need people like Cherry, who we've got coming next week, to explain to us all about why not to do that and then how to soul rescue and do it safely in protection and stuff like that. So we'll talk more about that next week. So I'm 2 weeks excited about that. Again, our connection to nature, our connection to the Schumann Resonance. I've got a whole page on that in a second. It's like a giant tuning fork, getting our mind into a more meditative state, which I've said, and clear the chattering mind to develop the mindfulness practice. There are different ways of visualizing. So if you're visualizing energy, it could be waves of, you know, water. It could be white, flowing, smoky light. My Polish friend Monica always used to imagine the energy rushing in like a load of white horses. She's really vivid imagination, some of the stuff she used to come up with when we were training in body talk. But you can literally use your own imagination for what that brings in your senses. Being creative, we've talked about that. Do any of you know a limiting belief that you want to work on?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep.
I don't know if this is what you mean, but I've got a fear of rats.
Okay.
So when whoever it was said I can smell a rat, that was quite a physical repulse for me.
Okay, so what sense do you think that gave you? Was that in your heart? Was it a visceral thing?
Don't know, it just gives me the creeps.
Okay, so it's a whole
I think it's a past life thing.
So limiting beliefs can be anything. They can be phobias and fears, because it might stop you doing something for fear of, oh, I can't go in that basement because there might be a rat in there, or I can't go to that place because there could be rats there. But they're also the stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves, and they're also the stories that other people bring to us, and we take them in. We believe what someone else says about us, and then we own it. And it can only be yours if you've decided to own it, whereas you could just go, that's an interesting observation, and go leave it with them. That's their opinion.
Yeah.
But if we've got a seed of something that's happened in our past where that behavior has been delivered to us before, then there's a story there. If that's got hold of an emotion in you, then there's a story to unravel. So that's when you go back to when that might have happened to you before in your life again and again. Find it in your body and then just work through the exercises again. Makes sense? So even if, you know, fear of rats, you can find where you can feel that in your body and validate that. Bring comfort to yourself, power up your solar plexus to bring some personal power and confidence into it. Ground yourself into your earth star chakra and imagine yourself like Shira, you know, the goddess of oh gosh, it was a cartoon that was on the TV.
I remember.
Yeah, with a
He-Man. Was it He-Man?
He-Man, yeah.
With her whip.
Yeah, so it's good to visualize things like that, or a phoenix rising from the flame. Just bring that energy of power to something. because then that will just override that feeling of fear before it's got hold of you. And the more you practice that, the more you can put, and I actually will do this with you guys again soon, because we did this a really long time ago, is to put different symbols into your chakra, like power symbols, so that you could really bring the strength through of each of those chakras. But I've not actually done it with the Ascension one, so that would be a really interesting process to do on one of the weeks. Because then the more you visualize that symbol there, then the more you work with that chakra, then your brain, habit brain, once you've thought of the symbol, knows how that feels, and it brings that kind of empowering feeling because you've done it over and over and over. Does that make sense? So we can override things if we know how to do it, but it does take practice, and it does take making a habit out of something. So practicing.
I've done quite a lot of work on it, but a long time ago. So, and there is still quite a lot still to do on it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
just keep digging it out.
Yeah.
Try some different tools. Cut cords to it. Flood it with the violet flame.
Yeah.
Have an empowerment statement about it. There's so many tools you can use. Just trying something, not all at once, and don't do something different every day. I suggest you pick one or two and stick with it for a few weeks.
Right.
And try and embody that power into that statement and into that feeling, and see if that works.
Yeah. Okay.
But again, it's building it, doing the same thing again and again. Take yourself into a space where you are confident and bring that feeling to it.
Yeah.
All right. I have to do things like that a lot with people with spider phobias. That's really common. So practice things to make habits. How do we sabotage this? What do we do with our homework when we get given it?
Leave it to the last minute.
Leave it to the last minute. What did I do with finishing my slides? When was I doing that? Yesterday. So, that's the pot calling the kettle black, isn't it? I was doing the same thing, Sue, so that's totally fine. But if we are trying to shift ourselves out of something and we're trying to do something with purpose and change our lives, we have to make space to do some kind of daily practice, even if it's 5 minutes, or even if it's 2 minutes 5 times a day. It's just creating that habit. So practice things that give us joy, peace, laughter. Learn to be a human being and not a human doing. Feel the energy, not just do the do. Because this is what we mirror out to the universe, and that's what we'll get back. So if you want something, like I said earlier, you've got to feel it. You've got to put the feeling into what that would feel like to have that thing. And if you can't conjure up that feeling, then you need to look at what your limiting beliefs around why you can't have that. So that's the kind of, again, daily practice. Choose one or two things. Follow your heart, your passion, what feels right. Push yourself out of your comfort zone and your fear or people pleasing. I'm a real people pleaser. So use your tools, statements, intention. It's endless and exciting. So when you're working on yourself or you're working on other people, you've got like a gazillion tools. Just quickly, the Schumann Resonance, because I know a lot of you know this. Does anyone here not know what the Schumann Resonance is?
I don't know a lot about it.
Okay, so it's the Earth's heartbeat. It vibrates at 7.83 hertz. It was discovered by a physicist, Professor Schumann, way back when. I don't know the exact date of it. Nikola Tesla was using the resonance of the Earth to develop a lot of his science, and then studies got carried out by a Dr. Koenig, I don't know how you pronounce that. What he basically did was take a group of volunteers into a space, I believe underground, and shut them off from the resonance of the Earth for a period of time, and they had no idea whether it was day or night. Their body rhythms got out of sync, their bodily habits. their eating habits, and they got quite depressed and down. And then they introduced the vibration of the earth first, and they all started to pick up a bit. And then as soon as they were back out in the resonance of earth, they were all much more balanced very quickly, again back into their normal cyclical daily routine. So it's important to be in touch with the Schumann resonance. It's really important to get out in nature, even if it's winter, even if it's raining. Just have a connection somehow. Have some plants inside your house, bring the outside in. Do it that way. Some of us here use earthing cards, and we've got shields to mitigate the EMF interference, because there's so much of that now that that interferes with the Schumann resonance. From a consciousness perspective, the Schumann resonance should be 7.83, and quite often it's spiking between 30 and 40 at the moment. It went up to as far as 80, I think. Pam, can you remember when we did that global meditation?
Yeah, I don't think that it was quite as high as 80, but it was pretty high, yeah.
So when you have a focused amount of energy, putting the intention into something and raising consciousness and healing the earth will raise its vibration too. That's what the Schumann resonance is. So we can't live without that. We are a bacterial virus microbiome that lives in resonance with the earth. We are all part of the same creation. We're not separate from. We have to remember that. So you can all look at the slides later, because that's exactly what I actually found this list off somebody else's site, because I liked how she'd worded that, but you can see where it's left the E off everything. So I've just credited her there because I cheated a bit by copying the list. But again, some of you have heard me talk about that.
How can you measure it within yourself?
Well, you know, when some days you feel a bit switched, where you can't concentrate, or you've sat at the computer too long. I mean, for me, going online was tricky because I'm very sensitive to energy, and which is why I got the shields and the earthing cards, and I use crystals and everything else. Some people are not sensitive to that, but it doesn't mean it's not there. Or if I start feeling even just down in the dumps for no particular reason, if I then go out for a walk with the dogs, even if I can't be bothered, force myself, I feel all right when I come back. So it's just noticing whether you're flat.
But how do you know it, if it's 80?
Okay, you can look up, there's websites on the Schumann resonance, and there are people now that measure that daily, and that is going in alignment with us raising our consciousness. Right. The earth and us in the universe, we're all doing it together.
Right.
That will be speeding up a bit anyway now, and time will go by quicker.
Right.
It's all coming kind of thick and fast. Whether that will then settle into a steady again, but it is a bit all over the place. There's crazy weather patterns. Some of the weather patterns are deliberate interference, because there are machines that do that. So it is, as much as you can be in touch with nature is key. As much as you can mitigate, you know, EMF is key. Just anything that keeps you in touch with the resonance of the earth. If you look up studies around the Schumann resonance online, you'll get loads of different studies that have been done. It's really interesting. So it's worth looking into that.
Can I just add just one more thing?
Yeah.
I was listening to Headspace, and there was something on there where this lady was saying, if you can't get out, if you were to just look at a picture, for example, you still can connect and get the value, or get the benefit from actually looking at something that is nature. And even if it's like, two little cubs or whatever, like on telly or whatever, that can help too.
Yeah, because your mind knows what that's like, doesn't it? Your brain, the habit brain, knows what that feels like. So yeah, thank you, Sue. That's a good point, because you can bring it in all your senses as if you're already there. Your habit brain can't actually discern what's real or not. It's just what you've built up as habits. So yeah, it's a good point. bring it in your mind, do a meditation and go off wandering around a nature scene. Ground yourself into the earth star. So it is daily practice. We do all have to remember that we are nature, we're not separate from it. And that's what's happened. That's why it's all falling apart. But it needed to. It's a natural cycle. And we all need to, and I'm not going to say get back into nature, because we're not going back anywhere, because that didn't work. We're moving forward into being in harmony with nature again. That's the way forward. And remembering that we are nature. All right. Any other questions before we do our meditation? Is everyone all right just to run over by 10 minutes?
I'm going to have to go at 9:30. I'm sorry.
I don't think I can, no.
Okay, so I'll do the meditation. I'll shorten it, okay? But what I might do is talk it out in full and send it as a recording on the WhatsApp group.
Oh, lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, shall I do that?
Okay.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, again, it's difficult for me to time how long these are going to take, because I do want to be interactive and I do want you guys to join in. So it's been valuable to have your kind of feedback. Yeah, so I'll get on with the meditation. Stop talking, Suzanne. And then I'll put it up fully. So I'll just give you an idea now of what I want this to be. This is about finding some discomfort, an uncomfortable emotion or an uncomfortable feeling in your body. And then you're bringing everything that we've talked about in this session to it. So this is going to be your practice. Is bringing the light, the healing energy, you know, each one of your senses bringing. So if you're trying to heal a discomfort in your chest, you're going to bring a sound vibration to that. Imagine what that sound would sound like if it was in there. Imagine what a smell would be if it was bringing healing energy. And really honouring what's there, validating it, and then going into what does this feel, look, smell, taste like, sound like when it's healed, and actually bring that back into its natural state of consciousness, of a healed pain in your chest, or a healed heart, or a healed left knee. What does it look like when it's healed? All right, so just shut your eyes. And just breathe your energy down into relaxing. Feel that wave of relaxation. Just get yourself into that space in your mind where the chatter switches off a little bit. Ground yourself into the Earth Star. Connecting up to the healing energy of Rahani or whatever healing modality you have. Knowing that you are safe and protected, and anything not from the light will leave as we cut the cords and seal the ends. Channel a bright light down through your chakras, whatever colour comes for you. Just bring it into every space in your body, every cell, just imagining those cells lighting up with this colour. Feeling into your body, find some discomfort. If you want to, you can put your hand there, or just knowing where it is enough. Bring this light and colour to this space. Light it up. Name the discomfort. Is it prickly? Is it tight? Is it hot, cold? Give it an emotion. The sound. The smell. What would that discomfort taste like if it was a taste? Give it a texture. Thinking of the discomfort in its feeling sense or the emotion, give it a face. Hold the space for what's there. Maybe a circumstance in your life comes up or something from your past. Just allow it to be there. Bring through that colour, intensify it in this area, this healing colour and the healing light. Maybe the energy of the violet flame. Just observing this coming through. Visualize this healing as if this pain has had the support that it needs. And what would your senses bring to this healed space? If it was healed, what would it feel like? How would the energy feel here if it was healed? What healing emotion might be needed? Cut the cords to any draining energy that might be hanging around. See the ends sealing so that they can't reattach. You may be just cutting the cords to a situation. It doesn't need to be whole people or anything like that. It's just a situation. It's allowing that space to heal in your body and in your life. Feel this space already healed. Really visualize the energy there. Just allowing yourself to breathe into this space. And then just take your awareness back down to your Earth Star chakra. Knowing that you're anchored and you're back in the room, feel your hands and feet, wiggle your toes and fingers. Take a nice deep breath and come back when you're ready. All right, we all back?
Yep.
Yeah.
So it was a quick magical mystery tour. Your homework, just quickly, is that. So practice that meditation. Just look at the words I've put on the slide and just do that with yourself. And if you can find another person to do it with, even if some of you guys maybe get together in pairs to work that out. And I'd be happy to work with someone and bring that to be doing it with somebody else in between now and, well, actually you've got 4 weeks with this because we've got Cherry in between. So you need to practice that on yourself and with another person.
What we've just done.
Yeah.
The meditation.
In your own style, guiding them in any way you want. You're going to pad it out a bit more because obviously we've done that quickly in 10 minutes. Just bring somebody into a healing space and help them visualize that space, validate the feelings that belong there. They're all okay, let them breathe into it, and then bring some healing energy. Talk them through it. You can change the words if you're doing it for somebody else, and you can change the words a bit. If you're doing it for yourself, then obviously you can just visualize going into a space in your body. All right. Notice some synchronicities. So by that I mean notice if you're in the space of being aware of that you're creating things. Notice the good stuff, the nuggets that are turning up for you. Because the more you're in that mindful space, the more those turn up and you're not really noticing them. Even the triple, double numbers that turn up over and over. Look it up online what those numbers mean. I had 999 on my radio the other day and then 80808, and I didn't put the channel on that. I've not looked it up yet, but it's just sometimes there are messages, and sometimes you'll think of somebody and they'll turn up and they'll phone you, or just try and notice when those things happen. That just means you're more in your stream of purpose and consciousness. Those things are just going to turn up more and more. And then between now and 4 weeks, notice at least 3 limiting beliefs that you have of yourself, and work on that. Find that in your body. You could work on that as your discomfort if you like. See whether you can work some of those out. So that's the point to today, is to give you all the information and all the slides to use to work on yourself. Choose some of them. You don't need to do all of it. And then we'll talk about it in 4 weeks' time. But in between time, do pop up on the chat group and share stuff with people and ask questions, and I'm happy to work with people in between. All right, any questions?
Good.
And I'll let you
Not
go.
at the moment. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all for
I
coming.
need to make a
And we'll
move. So
Thank you then.
pop up about
thank
Jerry.
you, Suzanne.
Bye.
Bye, Suzanne.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Yes.
Bye.
Thank
Thanks
you.
again.
Frozen. Still there, Faye?
Oh, am I frozen?
Okay.
Am I still there? Yeah.
No, I think Valerie's frozen.
I cannot.
I haven't even stopped
I think, is she
recording.
gone? Or is she? I'll have to turn my phone.